As you guys see, MVP on the blue side, matching their jerseys. KZ on the right side, on the red side, not matching their jerseys. We'll have to wait for game 2, but you see already, Vladimir and Rise banned out by MVP.
Vladimir banned targeted Rascal, so good on him. They also ban out what has been an interesting new top lane matchup we saw yesterday, Vladimir versus Rise, but Rise largely targeted as a mid lane ban. And speaking of mid lane bans, 3 out of 4 are most known for their mid lane prowess. No AD carries or junglers banned at this point. Sejuani shaping up as a very possible early pick on the draft for both top lane, for both junglers. Even Peanut, if he's going to be playing a tank, largely does go towards that Sejuani. Is MVP, you're going for the strategy of leave everything open and see what's left, what shakes out after banning away the Varus is the final ban. Trying to get Maha that Kog'Maw for first pick, you'd imagine.
There's a lot available. Sejuani was one of them. Kog'Maw, Zoe, still available. Lots of options here for MVP. Ian was always one of those guys who loved to carry. Ezreal was another one I did not mention. Gets first picked here. They skipped the Kog'Maw this time around, Papa.
Yeah, the Kog'Maw priority was there in the first 2 days of the season, and now, even for teams that traditionally, and carries that traditionally favored the Kog'Maw, they're going for Ezreal. They're going for a bit more of a bridging point, a cheaper build to be relevant. So the Ezreal is also denial away from Prey, one of the greatest Ezreals of all time. But it leaves the pick of the litter, the side of Kingzone, and Peanut will be jumping onto the Kha'Zix, which you could say is opposite number is had fun on, as well as Kuz will not be starting game 1, but if we're following the historic trend, maybe playing game 2. BDD looked like a god in the Kesper Cup on the Azir. He returns to it, not with a Nunu by his side. We're not 8.2. But BDD's Azir, that's a fun one.
This is what I was talking about, though. Immediately locked in for Ian. He is, even if he doesn't always show up as much as some of the other consistent mid laners, he's known as like a carry guy. He used to play Ahri, he used to play LeBlanc, Syndra, right? He's gonna try his hand at Zoe. They bait out the Azir pick, the Galio's banned, and we will have this Zoe versus Azir matchup in favor of MVP this time around.
Interesting. So I would say there is a skill discrepancy between BDD and Ian, but I would say there's a champion discrepancy between Zoe and Azir, because Zoe is being picked to winning success against Azir. So very interesting to see how that goes, and if BDD can show us something different, maybe a rune choice, maybe an early item choice. Otherwise, we're going to see long-range artillery making the Azir's day just a bit foul, or maybe we'll see some jungle attention as Kalista is locked in. So you can kind of thin the support pool, but also just pick yourself a tank support to launch into the backline with the Kalista. A lot of flexibility there, even though Kalista and Alistar can be best friends. They're going to see an Alistar ban towards Max, even though he's been away from that champion. This season, Thresh was his big pick, but Orin, Janna, and then, of course, the Max specials like Zillion and Bard have been the choices.
I always say it's very hard to ban out Max, but at the same time, maybe it's a smart idea to get him onto something that's off meta and that just kind of doesn't work, where he'll like convince his coach, hey, put me on Bard again. But it doesn't really work out all the time.
We have that struggle where all of these players have champion pools, but none of them have an effective champion pool because they haven't won a game yet. So what is MVP good at? What are MVP's champions you need to ban? We still are looking to learn that, and maybe this Zoe will loom as one for Ian, who's always had that very limited effective champion pool. The Syndra was his famous one. But apart from that, there's been some decent performances, but not necessarily ones to really convince you. Waiting for the final ban here on the side of MVP will be Ornn. So Braum has been the big special on the side of Gorilla. Will they just lock it in here? Is a potential to at least answer some of the damage from a Zoe. Also very good against Ezreal ultimate.
Take out the Braum here, you get a counter pick for the top lane. Seems like the best idea for Kingzone. They are going to hover it. There it does go. Seemed like a pretty obvious one there, but this is where it gets not so obvious. What is MVP going to try this time?
Well, they're against a blind pick. They're blind picking for the top lanes. That's always a little bit tricky. ADD traditionally will look for the Sion here, but he tried it recently, and it was kind of dissected and really abused in the top lane, so I'm not sure if he'll go there again.
Oh boy.
It is something you can blind pick, so they do lock it in. Look, I'm not a hater on this. I think that Sion has a very strong laning phase against anything. And with Vladimir banned away, the anythings that can actually carry there are limited. And maybe if we see Gangplank, which I say Gangplank's banned, so that's not even a threat. I wonder where Rascal will go. We've only seen him on 3 champions ever. Rumble last year, and then this year it's been Vladimir and Orange, so it's going to most likely be a new pick on the side of Rascal.
First time Trundle? No. Maybe Alawi once again. It's getting hovered. Okay, we got 4 seconds. I'm not convinced. There it is to lock in. Rascal gonna show off on a bit of Alawi here in game 1.
They want to get lane pressure. Alawi is very good into tank matchups. Sion has a lot of ability to get through painful matchup with his overshield, permanent health. He can ult away if everything gets a little bit too tricky for him. And Alawi in a team fight is, you know, almost a meme. Not really going to have the most presence unless everyone else is doing heavy lifting. But it does mean there will be consistent pressure topside that you'd imagine Beyond will have to respond to. And what can Kingzone have happen in the other part of the map? Feels like Peanut is going to be free to basically ignore topside, barring maybe an early visit to look for a snowball or a counter gank, and then potentially try and profit in the bot side of the map, where Shen is the sort of support where when he's squishy early, he can be ganked and taken down.
Yeah, knowing Max, he is going to take Ignite, and he is going to get aggressive. So that's definitely one guy you can look at as a potential gank path, a guy to get your bottom lane ahead, to get Prey to pop off on the Kalista. Not a bad idea. I'm just really curious about Ian's Zoe. We've seen it dominate multiple games in a row. Will this be the game where MVP wins on the back of a crazy Zoe performance, and it's the game where everybody realizes, hey, we can't let Zoe go through if there's not a good enough counter for her?
It's a very real question to ask because he gets a good matchup. Because of the team matchup, you get a bit more skeptical. Now, Jinner came in hyped against the side of BBQ and will run over largely from Tense Zoe. Let's see how Peanut interacts, because you can try to snowball on a Zoe, especially if the trouble bubble is down early on the longer cooldown. Otherwise, playing Gorilla's team fighting will have to be the big story here for Kingzone DragonX.
Yeah, gonna be looking towards that activity out of Peanut. We'll see if he can dominate in the jungle as the countdown begins for game number 1 of MVP versus Kingzone DragonX. MVP bringing in their fans. They're still supporting their team after a rough start here in LCK.
And you know what? I wanted to give them their first win. They won the fan chant.
Yeah, they did. They win something. They've won the hearts of many. Not us yet. They still have a lot to prove.
They're winning the stopwatch battle as well, so when it comes to the little things,
yeah,
happy days for the side of MVP, but you saw that schedule for them. Rough, rough schedule. Kingzone, KSV, SKT, and Afrika Freaks in a row for a team that already hadn't won a single game. You start kind of panicking, you know, your heart palpitations start if you're an MVP fan, because outside chance they'll be 0-7 in match score by the time they get through that run.
Yeah, and they've lost to Kongdu, KT, and Jinner. KT and Jinner known to be very strong this
Rox
year.
and BBQ are no jokes. So
yeah, that's the thing where you read through the list, and obviously the upcoming matchups are a bit harder, especially Kingzone and KSV. But like every single team is going to be hard for MVP at this point because everybody looks good.
And that's why MVP is in kind of that one awkward spot where you never like to call a team a no-hoper, but unfortunately, from what they've shown and the fact that nothing has really worked for them, you can't even think of someone who was ultra-fed in a loss. Like, nothing really has come together for MVP, and we've almost been baited into seeing teams beat MVP easily and then be like, yep, okay, Jinner, you smashed them. But then they come in against BBQ and lose. So right now, it's very difficult to have great levels of optimism for MVP. But if they are, you know, in the next week or so, able to run some of these top teams close, then we do get into that fantasy scenario of 10 teams worth watching, 10 teams that could win on their day.
Yeah. Well, Ian already having a bit of trouble in this matchup. Obviously, at level 1 and 2, Azir is very oppressive in the lane.
And I need to make it clear that because there was no English cast, a lot of our viewers today would have missed out on the Kesper Cup. BD's Azir there was something special. He was super, super dominant in that particular tournament on Azir largely. Was able to win tricky matchups and easy matchups, and just looked like a god on the pick. And the thing that's significant about that is you think back to BDD's role on this team previously? Because he got a lot of hype, you know, in the winning streak, and then, of course, being an LCK champion last season. A lot of that hype was about his team play. Orianna, you think of. Galio, you think of. When he was actually on lane dominant duty in the Syndra, they lost that game to Samsung Galaxy where he got caught being a bit too overeager, trying to kill Crown too many times. BDD as a carry threat for Kingzone is a new thing, and now BDD is going to be ganked.
He's going to be ganked, but again, he's Azir. Was in fantastic position. He had Kha'Zix's Peanut on the right side of the map, got some wards in, said, hey, the Jarvan's not over here. Could be on the top side, be careful. His positioning was perfect, avoids the gank.
Games like this where BDD could just pop off in a difficult matchup and carry will really add to the credence of Kingzone as, you know, champions elect for tournaments like LCK, MSI, Worlds. They need to have multiple different strategies if they're going to beat the top teams in the world. They need to be able to have more strategies than just Khan pops off and wins, because that's obviously going to be pretty reliable, but it won't be every game. And the one time they really needed BDD to be dominant, he made some misplays against Samsung Galaxy that really cost them. So going to be looking closely at BDD here, a player who I think really does have the potential to be one of the ultra stars in mid lane of the world. Some would argue he's already there. I want to see that justified with more performances starting from today.
Yeah, he's been looking quite good. Looked good against Faker on his Galio. It was a difficult match to watch.
If you could have any mid laner in the world to go against Faker, would it be
Would
this
it be
man?
Faker or would it be BDD? Oh, you meant against Faker. Yeah, I think it would be BDD. He's proven himself time and time again.
And he's actually been competitive against Faker time and time again. That's probably the biggest praise we can give him. We were almost like leveling this man up next to a guard, and then he almost got a solo kill, which would have been very fitting, but
yeah.
Still, that's two very winning trades, and he's playing this lane a lot more aggressively than Justice, who we saw in our last series, who was a sub-mid laner, ironically, for BDD last season, who was just kind of hanging back. So even without jungle attention, BDD's saying, look, Ian, I'm BDD. I'm going to try and style on you, and so far so good.
I'm the star here. I'm the captain of the mid lane now. And yeah, so far BDD has looked even better than Faker so far in what we've seen.
Look, I don't know if I can agree with that because I'm definitely in the camp of Faker some big errors, but a lot of great play this season. He certainly has been looking for some help from his team.
I think overall,
some of those games,
in terms of consistency and like not making any mistakes, BDD has proven himself.
I think it's easier not to make any mistakes when you have Peanut, Prey, and Gorilla on your team. Khan also.
Very true.
With Faker, it was a lot of, well, I really need to carry, or else we're definitely going to lose this game.
Yeah, a lot more pressure on him. BDD kind of takes the game into his own hands in the way that Faker always used to.
And in no way am I using any of this language to slam down on BDD. I think he is, you know, another once-in-a-generation talent after Faker proved himself to be that a few years ago. I think he may be the best mid laner to debut since Faker, but to fully support that needs to keep having big games, and this one is primed up to be one in a difficult matchup.
Ooh, we're going to force the flash out of Peanut, as he was going to steal the wolves in there. And ended up doing so. Stole the big one and one of the small little puppies. But will not have his flash after hitting level 6, which would make his ganks a little bit more effective.
And you can always learn about playing with an Alawi is she's going to push, and she's going to have lane pressure, especially in any sort of melee tank matchup. So invading around the Alawi, usually a pretty safe bet, because the top laner is either going to be under turret or low health, and Chunked are not able to react. That's why we see Peanut playing around the blue side jungle. Also has the double upside of being able to contest the blue buff when it spawns and holding the Zoe back further and further.
I'd love to get more of a look at mid lane, but as a mid lane player, I guess I'm a little bit biased. In the bottom lane, they've been very even. You know, Shen versus Braum, nobody really getting too aggressive, and
Quadra Relic Shield, all that other fun, uninteractive stuff.
Maha's been keeping up in the CS at least, not getting pushed in too much. We got a bit of a roam here from Gorilla coming up with Peanut, both at level 6, looking for whatever they can find.
BD leaving lane first has been the reliable thing, does it again here.
Ooh. That had some potential had it landed, as Jarvan had everything, including flash.
AD Scion was not the reason they lost in their last series, so I don't mind him going for a very blind pickable champion. Sion never will have a matchup where he gets super abused. Of course, anyone can be snowballed on, but he kind of always fulfills his role and provides a lot of CC in team fights. So even though it's a AD-only champion, I think of maybe Smeb in like all-star matches, but no one else really visiting the Sion. Does get through basically any of the difficult matchups like this one. Very competitive in CS against the Alawi.
Right behind him. We haven't really had too much action in this game. This looks a lot like what we're used to, Papa. No crazy shenanigans happening early game between BBQ and Janair.
And I would say advantage MVP in that particular regard. Alawi's the first sign that maybe one team is not looking to team fight that much. MVP have good initiation with Jarvan and Sion, both super initiators, and Shen also to profit off their engage as well. They have Zoe and Ezreal for both sieging and team fights, being able to put out some pretty consistent damage and bursts. So they're very flexible as a team as they scale along, whereas for Kingzone, things can happen, but more of them require snowball, vision leads. They have good pick power with Kha'Zix and Braum, but we just see Kha'Zix, you know, farm up a storm and not get any kill involvements. Increasingly in the LCK, that has been the sign of a losing team. So, for now at least, things are just pretty comfortable for the side of MVP, but we're so early days, so many twists and turns. Could all just be farm, a Baron Steel game over. Like, anything can happen in this meta, and we can go super late. So, wait and see how that all goes.
Who knows? I mean, we might have 50 more minutes ahead of us.
We could do.
We're not even, like, small percentage of the way.
We could have 85 minutes ahead of us. Kingzone have not been a team like that yet. Of teams to get stalled out, when Kingzone have got a lead, they've probably been the best team at closing quickly. KSV, until recently, were closing consistently, but Kingzone's explosion into life in game one of their series against SKT, where for 25 minutes it was even, and then suddenly the game was over not long after. Let's see if that can happen here. Kingzone can really run away with games, and BDD finally starting to feel the pinch from the Zoe, which for now has been a very Zoe-favored matchup from what we've seen.
Yeah. Once she can poke you from far away after hitting 6, I'll hold the thought because Peanut is down here. He doesn't have his flash. We got a Shen coming on in. This might be first blood. Oh, we might juke them. We got an Ignite coming in, though, and a flash, rather. That is going to be first blood from Beyond. Meanwhile, BDD pushed out of lane by the Zoe, so nicely done by MVP.
Topside Rascal's forced to ultimates. A lot of damage, actually, from ADD, forcing the ult out of Rascal. Look at the vision that was available for Kingzone. They were trying to push up a lot, but just turned around because Jarvan was in the right spot. They read the fact that Peanut's flash was down. Great play from MVP, and it should mean a Drake as well.
It's a very nice Drake there, too. The Mountain, they don't have the best objective burst.
These damage numbers are very funny.
2%. Who was that, actually?
That was Beyond.
Oh, okay.
Our first blood king.
Really?
100% kill participation, but 2% damage, apparently. I feel like those numbers are off, SpoTV. We'll have to talk about them later. Basically...
Is this 2% of the damage?
I don't know. I mean, he hit more because he hits a Q at the end of this as well. This is really well set up by MVP. So Beyond and Max haven't been on the same wavelength for a while. That's definitely at least 30% of the damage.
Yeah.
Maybe a team damage, so maybe there's been a lot of damage elsewhere, but certainly not. Still seems a bit weird. Regardless, it's shown, so we comment on it. That time, BDD and Peanut were not synced, and Kha'Zix was taken down. Really good target acquisition by MVP, and understanding that Peanut's flash was down. Good stuff all in all, and a good news story for a team that hasn't had many to talk about.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say that Peanut made a huge mistake, right? He was getting a little bit far forward against a Jarvan and a Shen, potentially getting in, but he wasn't super far in the jungle, right? He put down one ward that you can see in the red side.
But if you don't have vision or lane priority and your flash is down, do you invade for vision? Can you invade for vision? Does he make that same play against KSV? Maybe not. It's one of those things where, sure, it doesn't leap off the page as awful necessarily, but it's not something you want to talk about. Ross is going to get redemption, perhaps the most annoying thing ever about a Zoe. Zoe.
Zoe.
I was coming online there. There was a very great clip from the LPL yesterday where Zoe killed an enemy jungler with redemption. It was disgusting.
Yeah. It's pretty gross.
But imagine literally a level 3 jungler backed away from a camp and died to a redemption. That is the magic of the Zoe.
Sometimes you just gotta bless RNG and hope it works out for you. Level 3 redemption.
Well, MVP want to bless the Rift Herald, but its presence is noted, and for now, Beyond comically running around. It takes so long for the Rift Herald to release that you get some very comical chases by the Rift Herald. Boots to rush has now become a very common thing in Korea on AD carries, more and more so. No free boots for the side of Prey. Just rushed it up, I believe, in this particular game. And of course, he doesn't have, he went domination second, so did not even have free boots as an option. Looking at the damage dealt, 930, but 0 for Kha'Zix.
I can believe that, actually. I don't remember a time where he attacked a champion. He was running away the entire time. He was not fighting.
I feel like we never show this graph this early into games, but it's leading to amazing stats like 0 damage Kha'Zix.
14 minutes into the game. Boy, we've come far in this meta. Poor Kha'Zix. Not a big fan of the pick myself. Hold that thought. We have a fight here. Looks like Beyond is going to get caught. He's got Shen for help for the shield, but it's going to be a little bit too late. Not enough health to survive 3 people. Going for killing you.
And that time they were invading with their mid laner, and that's where BDD was able to clean it up. Braum put on the concussive blows, was the death knell for Beyond. His flash was down anyway. Very nice play there as Rascal's already not having fun times in this lane.
ADD.
He's thinking about a kill.
Taking over this lane.
Can he solo
wants
kill
to
him?
Stun. Okay, he's going to do a bit of damage. There's the Arcane Comet, but not going to work out.
Level 11, the Unstoppable Onslaught would have done some damage.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff there, but Rascal, the thing about Sion that separates him from other tanks is he has so many shields. And the long-range poke, it never takes free damage trades, because at worst he just shouts and throws a minion at you and does damage. Want to see this replay. This time, BDD just wanted to kill. It was Gorilla there. Peanut jumps over the wall. Easy peasy, had his flash also to confirm the kill. He wants that one so that he gets some kills and some damage dealt on the board.
Yeah.
Someone told him about that, and he put it past himself, so happy times there for Peanut.
He wants to feel useful. Hopefully after that kill, he will.
He still has to make a name for himself on a new team. That was the task for him on SKT, and one that at times, especially around MSI, he was right on the ball for SK Telecom T1, but the love affair did seem to kind of fade a bit in summer season of last year, whereas now, once again, reunited with Prey and Gorilla, wants to have that reputation, one of the best junglers in the world, and that spot is open. It does feel like there's no one who's consensus the best jungler in the world, and Peanut, rough start so far to his time on King's Zone, but it's had both good and bad, you could say.
So our observer just pointed out that Ezreal bought Berserker's Greaves.
Yep.
Not a normal buy for an Ezreal, as they're not doing too much auto-attacking.
It's also extra bizarre because it's Berserker Greaves and Iceborne Gauntlet, so he actually has no AD, doesn't even have a Mana Moon to pretend that he does auto-attack damage.
I don't get it, Papa.
I think it's bad.
I don't understand it.
I think it's wrong. You just don't upgrade your boots or get CDR boots, you would say, at this point. If he's running Transcendence, I guess there's some weird cooldown reduction issues, but very, very bizarre decision.
ADD fighting back here.
Who's
Battle
winning
of the
this?
tanks.
Remember, Rascal ulted and, you know, doesn't even sheer win the damage trade. Because we're already at Catalyst and most of a Frozen Heart, Ninja Tabi. The Sion, who's up in CS as well. I would say the Sion blind pick is doing great.
It's working out against Alawi. There weren't that many top lane picks left over. Ian in a bit of trouble here. Does have his flash available and actually turns it around. He's got Shen on top of him, forced to use that stopwatch, but that gets him into so much trouble. Running into 3 people now. Max is all alone. You got a stopwatch, but it doesn't help in this situation. I will eat my words, as actually he almost does go down towards the end. Azir almost coming in now. ADD wants to make this trade work. It's going to push Rascal back, but Ian getting caught, Max almost dying, means that this mid lane is going to be pushed. Although he does get Peanut here, and now Maha making his way into the mid lane.
Everyone's
got another
golden.
stopwatch in this game. Now Beyond is going to get knocked down. as nobody on MVP can seemingly do anything, but finally Peanut gets taken out by a true shot barrage.
Meanwhile, Prey is going to push in. He's going to get first pick in the bot side. That was BDD being a god. We know that BDD can be a true superstar. He turns it around, he baits in Ian, kills him. There's a reason that even when people take tricky matchups, there's always the room for skill. This is not other MOBAs where you can have very hard counters. There are good matchups, but great players can make a poor matchup a great one for themselves. They want a red buff steal as well. They got it.
Prey got it. We'll see if they can disrupt any of this now on the way out, and the answer is no.
Welcome to BDD. The BDD zone is becoming a pain zone. As well, goodbye turret. Sorry. You got Nashor's Tooth very, very early into the game, around 12 minutes. Even the fact that Rascal is somehow losing lane pretty hard to a Scion. You would have thought he would have at least gone even, but he's having no fun. Gorilla, 13% damage.
It's a lot more than the Kha'Zix right now. Although he did get some more damage in the mid lane after that one. They get their own Mountain Drake as this game is running away from MVP very fast. That's 2 turrets that went down just because of members of MVP not being in position to defend them.
And Gorilla is going to be moving up to his 4th game on Braum in this one. 3-0 before now. We'll hold on to that point as BDD walks up to Ian, and you think, okay, he takes the Trouble Bubble, why does he cleanse? Ian baits himself in, and then BDD is like, you know, I'm Azir with Nashor's Tooth. I'm ready to go. His team was in position as well. Great bait coming through from BDD. Turn on to Max, who's going to live from the start of all of this. Gets to flash away, doesn't die from all these shenanigans, but we had more action after this that did eventually lead to Peanut going down. And now BDD is fed. He has a Banshee Veil already. So now we've got a build that does stand up to a Zoe because this runs at Zoe. And, you know, Zoe interrupting, getting damage to and killing him through Banshee Veil, Magic Resist, and Spell Shield is impossible. So BDD, he's definitely won the lane against a Zoe.
Especially the Spell Shield. You know, you can't just open up with a Trouble Bubble and get a nice little Paddle Star. It takes a lot more work than that, and you will do a lot less damage.
And it's health and Magic Resist as well, right?
Yeah.
It's those stats are very, very relevant against the Zoe because eventually the damage will register. There is going to be multiple rotations of spell there, but BDD certainly going to be very, very happy.
Yeah. And wherever this game goes, the question I asked in the draft of maybe Ian can prove to everybody that, you know, even when you're going up against one of the best mid laners, Zoe is just too strong. Seems like that is not the truth at this point in time. Gorilla is going to be taunted up, but he has a lot of help from his teammates. Prey just doing free damage on the right side with Peanut on the left. Down will go Max as they just run into this one. And now Jarvan is going to be stunned up. Nowhere for him to go. He's going to Catalyst, but Maha wants no play in this. He might be forced into it, though, as here comes BDD. Going to try to slow him down. Looks like he might get away. BDD, though, still looking for the play here. Ian missing everything. BDD just the guard of the turret up top.
Doesn't matter how strong your draft is, if a team is significantly better, and that team is a four-man team. It's not even Khan doing all the work. People thought it was just Khan in those previous games styling on SKT's top laners. This time it's all been about the 4 members you see on the screen. They want a Baron.
They're gonna go for it, and they got Callista and a Mountain Drake, so they have an opportunity. Ian misses his Paddle Star. Now taking a ton of damage on the backside of this. Max is gonna be slowed down by Prey, but really just using that to get out of dodge here. BDD will eat a death for this play in the end of it all. Looks like Gorilla will as well. They're looking for Prey. Looks like everything will miss on the backside, but they get the Baron, and Rascal's push begins on the bottom side.
Yeah, Rascal feels great about all of this because he didn't have to teleport up, but he got Baron buff halfway through, pushing into an inner turret, so happy days for him. Will he end the game 0-0-0? That would be the dream. I don't think we've ever had a game end with a team winning with a player who was 0-0-0. We've had it in losses, certainly.
Yeah. Well, we still got some time here, 22 minutes.
Can Kingzone be a team dependent on Khan if they win with a top laner that goes 0-0-0?
Highly doubtful. I think it doesn't really make too much sense, Papa.
We're gonna watch the replay here. They had the Ren secure, and Beyond was in the death chamber for 3 seconds. As we roll this clip, so they get a freebie. BDD has his ultimate here, but they certainly at this point are thinking about a turnaround. The dodge field gets a lot of value from Max because he doesn't get stunned himself and then just turns on to BDD. And good coordination between Max and Maha gets the first kill. Gorilla plays the sins of his team, pushing up too far. That's the feel of a support. They back away from there, but they got the Baron, so the big objective definitely goes the way of Kingzone.
The thing that really stuck out to me in that fight is the effectiveness of Braum against Zoe, especially at this point in the game. When you're at 6 items, Zoe, yeah, your Unbreakable is going to fall in one hit, but when you're doing Baron at 22 minutes, you can absorb 2-3 spells, and the Zoe's just on the outside, not really doing anything because her poke doesn't hit anyone.
Yeah, the EQ just takes that huge reduction in damage and ends up not doing much. Looking at Maha, still doing a good percentage of team's damage. We're still also in that weird spot where it's a very low AD build and he went Berserker's Greaves that we don't fully understand. But when the Blade of the Ruin King comes through, that's going to help do damage to Gorilla and Rascal, I guess. I'm grasping at straws. I really don't understand the Berserker's Greaves. Spell shield popped, but BDD will be fine. He does have his flash up still after the last attempt on his life. Baron buff for another minute or so.
Got a small little push here in the mid lane. Not really committing to it too hard. It's really just about Rascal on the bottom side, beginning to chip away at that inhibitor turret. Peanut doing his own push up on the top side. He's got to be careful. He doesn't have any magic resistance against the Zoe. He's not quite BDD with the Banshee's Veil. He doesn't have the Braum.
He's able to take solo experience, pushing up the side lane. And there's 3 members strong in mid side. Not often the jungle gets the solo experience.
A nice little catch up for him. Push coming on here. Not really much that this composition can do in terms of wave clear. It's real Jarvan. Ian looking for a pick. Once again, is going to miss. Had Gorilla on the Braum for any later follow-up.
Kingzone have been able to also monopolize vision in this topside jungle, so the moment Kha'Zix dips into the jungle, very difficult to do too much.
You see what happens when anybody gets Sleepy Trouble bubbles.
Oh, Braum is massively powerful. Braum and Tahm Kench are kind of the stars against what you want to do as a Zoe. ADD wonders what's happened this game. 1-0-0, having a happy time.
Yeah, he's been doing his job. Rest of the team, not so much. TP comes in, and looks like ADD is coming in as well. And now Shen is TPing onto Beyond, but it might be a little bit too early here as he does go down. And Braum nearly dying in the process.
Meanwhile,
but Rascal is just happily pushing bot. There's no real answer for him. Peanut doesn't even join up. He's like, you guys can have fun, I'll push mid.
ADD drifted all the way there with the Unstoppable Onslaught, which was some sick, fast-paced moves, but certainly didn't even get him any CC and run out by the time they got to the fight. So to say MVP were disconnected would be an understatement, and this is the 5-man best friends lineup as well. You would imagine their communication would be better than with Pilot.
He actually hit his ear. Can he get anything done? Not quite. But yeah, it's definitely been one of the downfalls of MVP, the slowly deteriorating teamwork from the best of friends. Gotta wonder what happened over the years. They had some games in 2017 spring where they had big upsets, 2-0s against KT.
They were top 5 with the same lineup.
They made playoffs, and then everybody else got better, and MVP slowly, not really sure what happened to them.
The meta changed, and ADD couldn't be just a super tank in top side. I think ADD struggled the most in summer. It was only when Cho'Gath and the super tanks came back that they were able to actually pick up wins. They should have been in relegation tournament. They were 10th place for a lot of the season. We see the engage here as Sion's like, hey guys, I'm trying to get there. I'm pretty fast, but didn't really mean anything. All the action happened before he got there. MVP disconnected. And, you know, other teams got better about us. You have to remember is that we've had new members come through. We've had teams like Rox, who didn't really change their rosters, get stronger as a 5 visibly. And if anything, we're seeing deterioration from MVP. So, yeah, they didn't make big changes. They brought in Pilot, who, at best, absolute best, I don't actually believe this is a statement, but at best, to me, is a side grade. I think Maha is a little bit better than Pilot as an AD carry in 2018, but there was no big upgrades. They weren't reinventing the wheel. Ironically, Maha and Pilot are very similar AD carries in that their criticism for their careers were not putting out enough damage in fights. For Pilot, it was always playing too safe, and for Maha, it was positioning too aggressively and being caught at the start of a fight. But the end result was pretty similar between the two of them. So not strengthening, other rosters getting better and strengthening. The result is that MVP looks significantly worse than every other team in Korea.
Yeah, sad times for them. Maybe 2018 Spring is not their split. ADD will get out of there. But they do have a lot of time to still work on their issues. To come back from 2017 Spring, the downfall of Summer, and then that whole extra downtime into Spring. Hasn't helped them just yet, but maybe next split. Gorilla having a bit of trouble here, but he is Braum.
I guess the issue to me will be, after this game, there will be one team at one win. That is SK Telecom T1, which already is an insane thing to say. So you're thinking, okay, 2 wins for them to get off the bottom of the table. Who are those 2 wins coming against? Right now, it seems...
KSV.
Well, they're handing
Kappa.
out some wins recently, and I appreciate the reference, but even falling, say, 3 or 4 wins behind 9th or 8th, like, that's a lot of wins to pick up against teams that are getting better. All right, Sion really wants to get involved.
He's got a good opportunity here with the help of Zoe, which will definitely cut back on some of this damage from the ultimate of Rascal. Really wants to take out ADD, though. Still got an opportunity here with the stopwatch. Meanwhile, we got a Baron attempt coming in. That's going to be smited down by Peanut, who is getting a little bit low in the background, but Beyond is just not tanky enough to deal with this. Way too far behind is MVP, and that's going to be the Baron. Even though Rascal does go down in the end, they do get the objective.
We will not have a 0-0-0 victory. 0-1-0 the dream for Rascal. Kingzone pushing up. May not be able to end on this push because the death timers are not that severe. Another pick, though. Maha's taking red, which seems really risky when BDD is going to kill him.
Hey, you were talking about aggressive positioning. It's about as aggressive as it gets. Peanut going to come in and try to steal the kill, but BDD says no. Go back to your jungle. There will be another inhibitor going down. Looks like they want to end this game. Making a push for it at the moment.
BD's full health. He still has his ultimate. Didn't feel enough threat to use it.
Ian still dangerous for some of the members. We got a TP coming in. They want to end this now. Prey moving forward. He is just chopping away at the chopping block. Anyone who's in front of him. They take out Max. Ian getting low. Rascal in the front just zoning everybody out. Not much that ADD can do at the moment. Maybe he can get a kill. Finally does in the end. Looks like Beyond actually stole that one. But he is going to pay for it here as ADD's Ghost, the zombie Zion, can't even take him out. Ezreal respawning here. Trying to get a couple more kills on the backside of this, but that's going to be the second Nexus turret going down. BDD wants another kill, may pay for it, and he does get taken out before the end, and that's going to be the win for Kingzone DragonX.
And for those watching at home, Rascal got a couple of kill involvements at the end, so will not end 0-1-0. The TP to get something to help him out on the scoreboard. It was nothing about Rascal, it was all about the other 4 members, and BDD, your mid lane prodigy, was the superstar in this game. Azir versus Zoe has been a losing matchup for Crown, losing matchup in multiple series, not a losing matchup for that of BDD. He had some backup from Gorilla and also his jungler Peanut. His mechanics, his ability to suck in Ian, who got too keen, thought he could get a kill, thought he could make something happen. He could not. MVP's streak of losses continues, up to 7 after this game, and definitely looking like it could be a short night. And 8-0 lights out for MVP.
The real question for me is, do you sub in Khan now?
No? Why?
I don't know, just give him another shot to show off, perhaps.
Do you sub in Cuz now? Is another interesting question here for the side.
That makes a lot more sense.
Of Kingzone DragonX. For now, we can't see him in the booth, but that has been their move before, so maybe we will just see the pre-planned strategy. We're going to see a replay of the Baron. 2 people were trying to kill the Alawi at this point, which they were able to do. 50-50 smite is more than Beyond should have been given, but he was 2 levels below Peanut, and Peanut, for some of his struggles this season, has been very on point with the smites. Gets the smite, Kingzone rolls in, that ends the game. Congratulations, Kingzone DragonX. MVP, oh boy, it's going to be a long run for them to pick up that first win.
Yeah, nothing but sad faces on the side of MVP in the booth and for their fans. Ian trying out the Zoe this time around.
I think you just got to get,
did not work.
Got to get the Cho'Gath top lane, the Syndra mid lane. You got to try and just bring back the old picks that got them some victories because the new picks mixed with the old wasn't working. ADD was great this game. His Scion is very strong. He did well against Rascal. He won the lane from the expectations of an Alawi lane where you need her to have kill threat in the actual lane to make up for her lack of ability to team fight, but didn't matter. 15,000 damage, second most damage in the game by Scion. That's silly, but that's what happened this game, but BDD was the superstar. You know, I said I need to see him actually take the game by the seat of pants and carry, because that's not what he needed to do last year. He did it in Kesper Cup on Azir. He blind picks it and does it again in this game.
Yeah, looking good. We'll see how game number 2 goes, guys. But first, we will take a quick break. I don't see Cuz being subbed in, but we'll find out after the break.